So we are live. So today, the first day, we're doing our Hackers.mu podcast. We chose this day as a special occasion because Hackers.mu has discovered a security flaw on the modems that everybody is using in Mauritius. So I'll just introduce everybody. So first there's Yash Popia, member of Hackers.mu, Nitin, and then Kodaren. And then there's our guest today. His name is Keshav. He'll be asking questions towards the end. So we're going to dive right into it. So I'm going to share my screen first. So this is one of the most popular modems that's available in Mauritius since fiber deployment was started. Our estimate is that at least 70% of internet users in Mauritius are using it. Everything was fine. It's working well until a few days ago. So what happened a few days ago? Google published something about a piece of software running in a lot of routers known as dnsmasq. So what dnsmasq does, it resolves, when you type www.google.mu, it does the translation to what is called an IP address. And it also gives allocations of IP addresses. So each time you connect via your mobile phone and you get an automatic IP behind this modem, it's thanks to a software known as dnsmasq. So what Google found out was a number of security flaws. What we mean by security flaws is that there's a weakness in the modem that allows an attacker, by sending specific patterns to the modem, he can take over the modem. And one of the most pressing vulnerabilities is this one. So what Hackers.mu discovered was that this piece of software, dnsmasq, is actually running in those modem. And you can check it here by going on the modem itself. You're logging it, you type it here, the IP address. Here, when you go to System Tools, Open Source Software Notice, look for dnsmasq, and when you see the version here, it's 2.49. And the version that's recommended to be installed is version 2.78. So this is an issue here. So after we discovered this, we reported the case to Huawei, who acknowledged the issue. And then subsequently, we discovered, Kodarin is going to talk about it soon. We discovered other issues with the modem itself, such as very easy to guess username password on the command line interface, and also dnsmasq running with absolutely no restriction within the router. So I'm going to hand over now to Nitin. Are you ready, Nitin?
Yes, ready. So, hello everybody. My name is Nitin from Hackers.mu. So what we discovered is that anybody can log in onto the router. By default, there is a telnet command has been activated on all routers. So basically, you can deactivate the telnet command on the interface itself. So let me show you how you can deactivate the telnet command. Let me share my screen right now.
Please share your screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So here I have logged in on the interface. You just need to go on the network, on the system tools. You go on the network application. ONT identification. This is to change the password. I think when we got it here, or it's
Right here, modify login password.
yeah, on the modify login password. So here you can change the command, but I think it don't work here. So what you need to do is you need to log in on the interface. So you can log
Yes.
in here on the interface using the telnet command, that is telnet 192.168.100.1. So once you log in, the default username and password is it's root, and the password is admin. So for me, in my case, I change it. So I'll show you how to change the password. So the easiest way to get all the command is, for example, if you want to get the command start by G and type question mark, so you get all the command here.
So
Now we need to change the password. So to change the password, the command set, like you see, set user password. So you type set user password by center. Sorry. The old password and the new password. So your password will be changed. So that this is one of the first, I think this is one of the first things that you can do to prevent yourself from, if you still want to use a telnet to get to your router, you can just change that password here, or you can simply deactivate the telnet itself. Telnet itself, I know it's on the...
instead of using telnet, is there something that we can use? Because as far as I understand, the telnet protocol is not encrypted. So is there something else that a user can enable so that when he's accessing it using command line, it's encrypted? Can you show us something else?
I think it's better that we use SSH instead of telnet, right? I don't hear any... we can use SSH instead of telnet. So on the router, I don't hear you.
So you go on security, I think. Security.
Security, ONT access control configuration. So we need to deactivate telnet and use SSH, as SSH is better and it's encrypted. So if you want, you can simply disable the SSH and the telnet as well, so that prevent anyone from using your public IP and to get into your router. I did a test from my public IP, use telnet on my public IP, and I have been able to get to the router and do the command reset. So I've been able to reset my own router from outside my network. So once someone identified your IP, they can, for example, just do a reset on your router. Another thing that I noticed is that for example, if you go on system tools, on the configuration file, you can download this configuration file. This configuration file contains an encrypted file. So I downloaded it here. It's the file decode.xml. You will notice that you can't read that file because it's it's uh, 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 it's hw underscore secret.xml. You can't read that file because it's a binary one. So you need to
So
decrypt it.
as you're going forward with this meeting, to clarify the question,
Yes.
he's saying, is this AES, but which is encrypted?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
He's asking whether it's AES encrypted.
No, it's encrypted. I think yes, it's AES encrypted, but to decrypt it, you need to use that binary, that AES script binary. Yeah, you're right. It's AES encrypted. So you just need to use that command AES script to decrypt it, and then you can have your file decode.xml, where you will notice all your password and logins are clear inside it, and all configuration as well. So basically, for the first security things that we can do is to deactivate telnet on the machine, or if you want, you can change the password. And if you want, also you can change the password in the decode. For example, here, change the password of the decode.xml and re-encode it using the AES script 2 underscore Huawei binary. It's that specific binary that you need to encrypt it again. So that's all from my side.
Thank you, Nitin. So we're now going to switch to Darren, who is going to maybe explain us a little more about the state of dnsmasq itself. So Darren, can you show us what over security discovery you made on the router?
Well, if you guys can mute your mics while I'm talking, please. There's too much tin can noise. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. So basically, I changed my password like Nitin said, best practices. So telnet on your router. Whoa. Ah, shit. Okay, good. So you will notice when you telnet on this router that you can't possibly go back. So basically, you can use arrow keys to go back and then backspace. So if you made a mistake, you can just go back. So commands are like this. If I can go back, I use exclamation mark. So what? Fuck. WAP PS processors. So basically, we can see all processors that are running. And the interesting part is that each and every process on this router is running as root. So if you can see my screen, so user ID is 0 on every process, including dnsmasq.
So before you go further, so what are the different options that dnsmasq can run as? And because some processors have been developed to run only as root, so can dnsmasq do something else? Based on your conversation with engineers from Huawei.
So dnsmasq can do DHCP also. So in its capacity to do DHCP, it is not used as such on this router. So this port is not vulnerable, but the DNS port is the vulnerable port.
No, Darren,
yes.
Is it possible to run dnsmasq without using root?
Yes, it is possible to run. It should be. It should be. It's a best practice to run dnsmasq as a non-root user. This for me is a huge flaw.
Okay. So now Darren just has showed us. Thank you, Darren. So you've showed us how dnsmasq is running. It's definitely not a best practice to run as root, because that means that for every security flaw out there, assuming that someone can craft a DNS packet, as you said, and then get access to the router, he can essentially run anything that he wants as root. So this router has I think something like 32 meg of disk space, which is a lot, which means that someone can control your router from remote, which means that since it's so widely deployed in Mauritius, it's a security risk for everybody. And increasingly, people are using their modems for doing a lot of things. I mean, people are using the internet for doing work, for doing transactions on the internet, for passing money around. So all of those are becoming issues if you have critical internet infrastructure, such as routers, that can be compromised. So what had happened in terms of follow-up actions was that I contacted Huawei. Then we showed them our findings. Then later they said, we are discussing it. But what is needed is for the consumers, for more and more consumers to talk to Huawei so that they start shipping firmware updates. And personally, I think that, okay, this is a debate for discussion now, and Yash and Keshav are going to weigh up on this, but I think that since we are a cyber island and smart island, what we need to have are modems that are guaranteed to be supported until the ISP installs the next version. For example, in our case, we had a different modem that came to our house. Then when they installed fiber, they put a different modem. So during that time, I would expect that the manufacturer supports the modem in terms of hardware, in terms of software updates for during that time period. And I think that this should become a contractual agreement between the ISP and the modem provider. So what do you think? So Yash, what do you think?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Yash, we can hear you. You're live.
I have a question. Are you, as users of this router, can we do anything about that, or would have to wait for a patch by Huawei?
So the more people, I think, complain to Huawei, and the more people talk to Mauritius Telecom about it, the more Huawei is going to feel the pressure on the customer side to push an update. because Huawei competitors, Zixel has already a firmware out. Ubiquiti and other manufacturers already have firmware updates for this flow. So I don't see any reason if their competitor can do it, why can't Huawei do it?
Yeah, but this router was designed specifically for Mauritius Telecom. It's up to them to ask for that patch. We'll have to pressure them.
Maybe. It depends on how you see the relationship between the ISP and the router. But again, where would Mauritius Telecom get the incentive to talk to Huawei about this?
That's up to us. We'll have to pressure them. Both the more people that comes forward, the better it is.
Basically, I think this is not really the responsibility of Mauritius Telecom, since Huawei is the one releasing the crappy firmware. So I think basically, I have checked some other firmwares for this router. I haven't found any, including OpenWRT has no support whatsoever for this router. So it's up to Huawei to fix their crappy modems.
Now, I do have a question, a suggestion. Let's say someone wants to buy a new router. Will the person be allowed to use it? Because what I noticed is that if I try to set up my router on bridge mode and connect it to another router, the connection speed is downgraded to 2 MB. I think it's because of a profile which has been detected by Mauritius Telecom, which don't allow someone who is not using the Huawei router to have that speed. Did you guys try to do anything like that? Does it work?
So in our case, actually here, we actually put the Huawei in bridge mode, and then we have another router. We didn't encounter this, meaning that when we put it in bridge mode, it's running full 30 megabit. However, if that's the case, then it shouldn't be like that. The reason is simple. The provider provides you connectivity up to your house, but what you install in terms of modem, it's the free market. You're free to choose whatever you want. Okay, most people don't. But for people like us, for technical people who are maybe more security aware than the average people, we shouldn't face any penalty when we change the modem. When we put it in what you call bridge mode, where it just acts as a dumb bridge, and then you put your modem, which gets the IP and then does the port forwarding and everything. So any question from Keshav or from the audience?
Just for clarity, Logan, what Logan is saying is basically use this modem as a cable. So everything is controlled or regulated by another router, which is patched. Maybe Keshav has some questions, or
No, I think we don't have any.
In this case, there's actually we have something. So It's good to contact Huawei. They have their email address on their website. You should send them. You should try to convince Mauritius Telecom to actually talk to Huawei so that they update their modem. And it's especially important for a small island like Mauritius, where if the modems are compromised in some way, it's a huge security risk for the whole island because it's so widely deployed, the impact is huge. So anything else to add before we close?
Yeah, I do have a friend sending me a message, a private message on Facebook. He's asking that he's using his router as internet sharing purpose. So is he still vulnerable? I think the answer is yes, because since he's using it as internet sharing. What do you think?
He's still vulnerable because his DNS requests are still going to dnsmasq. He's still getting his IP address from the router. So if he was, the security risk for a technical user would be reduced if he was using something like a bridge. So if we're bridging the modem, and then the modem would behave only as a bridge, and then all of the DNS would be done by a different router.
Yeah, that's true, because you're finally landing on the same equipment, whether it is internet sharing or not.
So we have a question from Keshav. It's concerning spoof DNS. So I'll just go back to the page from Google. So it says here, there's a component, it says DNS, vector DNS. So what we have to look is, in this particular case of the Huawei modem, it's not affected by DHCP because our software is doing the DHCP part. And this is good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 things are related to DNS. So one is remote code execution, meaning that someone can take control of a modem. The second one is DOS. This is what Keshav is talking about, the denial of service. So what this means is that if someone on the network, for example, in a hotspot configuration where everybody connects with it, such as a university network, you run a risk here, meaning that someone can send DNS traffic to that router and make it crash. So you have 3 cases here of DOS, denial of service, which are again here an issue. Because if you can crash a modem, meaning people can't get internet, because without DNS, people can't work. People aren't going to remember numbers. They're good at remembering names. So if they type www.google.mu, it's not working, for them, the internet is not working. So we have to consider the cost. And again, this comes back to what I said about the need for a contractual agreement between ISPs in Mauritius and manufacturers such as Huawei. So any other questions before we close? No question?
Nope.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Keshav, for joining us. We hope that you've learned as much as we could. We're probably going to do another podcast soon. It's going to talk a bit about router security, probably. We'll see. So thank you, everybody who joined us. We had up to 6 people joining in a very short time, and I wish to thank all of them. So that's it. And again, hackers.mu, who we are a bunch of people who are improving the security of the internet from Mauritius. So we have contributed code inside many open source projects, whether Linux, FreeBSD, which are used everywhere inside all kinds of enterprises, even routers. So we hope you found this useful, and you're going to contact Huawei and Mauritius Telecom so that we can get firmware updates for those modems.
Goodbye. See you.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.